Today, we're going to learn a little bit more about Rezora. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat today. I'm excited to learn a little bit more. So tell us, what's your background, first and foremost?
I was a realtor, and then I spent a few years in commercial real estate as well as doing fintech sales for the last 2 years. But when I met my co-founder, he was just coming off of his third year of being a full-time real estate agent. He spent hours a day trying to get in touch with expired listings, and he had a computer science major from university. There has to be a better way. It's 2024. Surely we can come up with a solution for this. So he kind of coded this very proprietary version of what Rezora is now, and on the first day. So he was like, okay, this is fantastic. Not only is this going to solve a problem for myself, but it's going to solve a problem for everybody in real estate.
So is the fundamental of it is really for the person that's cold calling, prospecting? So not,
Yep.
That is the target market is that cold calling agent. What were the problem you were really solving for is not necessarily wanting to pick up the phone and dial over and design a product that could actually go in and do that outbound dialing and get the connection for you. How would you describe the company's mission and what makes your product stand out from others in the category?
So in terms of the mission, I think it's really just to drive authentic conversations. The majority of the time that people spend cold calling, they're not actually reaching people who are interested, which is why it's really primed for automation. Anyone that Rezora actually ends up having a conversation with and booking a meeting with, that means the realtor is going to engage with a lead that's actually interested, worth their time, going to return their calls, going to kind of move through the deal process. That's really focused on real estate sales conversations as opposed to the majority of AI voice platforms, which are for kind of general conversations. So they take a very kind of standard version of ChatGPT and they just prompt it out for whatever kind of interaction the customer wants them to have. But we've been training Rezora for 1.5 years specifically on real estate sales conversations, and each of the agents on the platform are built for a specific kind of lead type. So one's for expired listing leads, open houses, all that kind of stuff. So they convert at a higher rate, they're far more specialized, and they're really built for the end customer as opposed to something that's just kind of quickly customized for the person that they're having a sales call.
When you say open houses, I mean, I understand, expired outreach, but what's an open house outreach look like?
It's mostly on the invite side. You can adjust it a little bit for something more, towards a different kind of conversation, but the way that we've configured it is something, someone's having an open house, they might have a lead list or a bunch of people who are interested in buying a property with that realtor at the time. So they do essentially just call and, 1 to 2 minute conversation. Hey, I'm so-and-so's assistant. We have this open house. Here's the information. Here's the time. Would you be interested in coming? And then it just kind of does all that outreach for the realtor so they can focus on everything else.
That's cool. So you could use it to prospect the neighborhood to come invite them to check out the house, in addition to having a cold call, a list of, your potential buyers that fit that market for it. That's cool. Who's the target market, like ideal customer for this? Is it an agent, team, brokerage?
Right now we have individual seats and we're doing a few brokerage pilots, but it's really built for the individual realtor to upload their specific leads and do outreach that way. But we also have an agent for wholesalers and people doing commercial property acquisition. We're working on some agents that are kind of adjacent to the real estate market, so things in mortgage, but the story for us is always focused on realtors.
Is there a platform that exists then to kind of help a team leader with their individual agents below them?
Not that I'm aware of, but we can structure it for teams.
As far as integrations, the real estate agents use a ton of different tech, from the CRM to the auto notification for the different properties. Is there integrations with any of that type of use?
Yes, kept it pretty simple at this point. Right now, you just upload your contacts as a CSV and it connects automatically to your calendar. So when the AI is speaking to a lead, it'll book a time that it knows that you're free, and then you get an email notification about that. We're working on an API to connect to CRMs, as well as, we kind of want to plug Rezora into everywhere in the real estate space. So being available on lead generation websites and any other time that realtors are kind of talking to leads or dealing with people, we want to be able to just have them make a Rezora call from right there. But for the moment, it's...
So we'll eventually then connect with the CRM so that it's able to log the notifications in the system in Rezora that you see that how many people it's called or that it got a voicemail. Or where do you see the company and the product evolving in the next 12 months?
In the next 12 months, we want to be the leading tool for AI real estate calls. So that means primarily just getting in a lot of brokerages and really showing them the value of this tool and giving realtors a lot of time back and helping them book more meetings and scale their sales. But we would also love to kind of just be a general tool for real estate across the space. So being integrated with things like Follow Boss, being integrated with tools like RedX, just kind of being a tool that anyone who's trying to have real estate sales conversation.
Anything you want to talk about that stuff?
Yeah, pricing's pretty simple. So it's just just $289 a month. That's all you pay month to month.
No matter how many phone calls are made?
We give you some calls. You can make as many phone calls as you want. We give you a phone number up front that we buy for you and 100 minutes of calling credits. After that, it's 20 cents a minute just because we have to pay that cost to our provider. So we kind of keep the subscription cost low for you, and then you can decide, whether you want to scale up your calls and invest in the calling credits or whether you want to keep it lower around the 100 minutes. But then we can also train a custom voice for any kind of conversation that people want to have, and that's a different pricing structure that's around $2,000 for essentially.
And how do you see the initial launch? How do you see the consumer reacting to an AI calling?
We're coming in at a good time because the company that we use for our voices and all the other providers have gotten things to the point where they're so realistic, most people don't know. And our AI has gotten so intelligent just in the last few weeks, literally, that we're to the point where it's kind of doing things that we didn't even tell it to and learning on its own in terms of adding additional pauses and switching up. We don't use scripts, but it's kind of switching up what it says to make each conversation a little bit more interesting. And obviously, it's learning from all the calls that are placed on the platform. So getting realistic.
Interesting. And what do you see the responses? Is there a trackable, the system's doing this as far as performance metrics?
Yeah. So what we've seen is the conversion rate with Rezora is around 3 times higher than that of a human cold caller, just because it's been trained for a year and a half on, YouTube videos, textbooks, real sales conversations, and refined so many times. It doesn't get demoralized. It doesn't say weird things. It doesn't stumble. So it's really calm and persuasive. Obviously, we don't guarantee meetings being booked or anything like that because it depends on the leads that you ultimately bring on the platform. But we've seen that the conversion rate is a lot higher, and the percent of people who pick up the phone that actually end up having a conversation with.
And so of the initial 100 minutes that you get, how many phone calls do you kind of average with that?
That's roughly 30 conversations. The average conversation is 2 to 3 minutes with Rezora. So it's pretty quick to kind of get you, a good sense of whether it's working, whether you want to adjust something in the conversation, whether you might want to tweak something, but it's enough to really kind of get started.
So is this for the agent then that just doesn't want to make the calls? Or, for $289 a month for 30 calls, it's like, man, agent, just pick up the phone once a day and make the call. And, while you're at it, make another one and get 60 calls a day. Is it there to be the crutch to not call, or is it to be in addition to, would you say?
That's a good question. I think my biggest learning just from launching Rezora this quarter has been that actually it's really not a tool for new people. All of the conversations that we've had for realtors who are just getting started are that, they really still want to learn the cold call routine and build their customer list themselves. So what we found is the sweet spot are people who are at least kind of 4 years or more into their career, who they know how cold calling works. They have an established lead list. They know how to get customers. They know what they want to say, but they just don't have the time themselves because they're already doing so many other deals. Cold calling is the last thing that they have time for. So it's really a booster more so than It's not designed,
or at least the initial engagement, deliation of it. It's not there because I don't want to learn the scripts or want to learn the conversation. It's there to help the agent that doesn't necessarily have the time to do it.
Yeah, it can really be for either. I mean, we've seen people kind of all walks of life in terms of their realty experience use Rezora, but our average user is someone who's more experienced and further along in their career that just literally doesn't have the time to call anybody.
You mentioned expireds. How's it handle the, grumpy expired listing?
Yeah. I mean, the expireds that was the first agent that we built on the platform, and that's our best performing agent just because, you don't have to deal with any of the frustrated people. It knows kind of exactly what to say. That's our oldest agent, and it's had the most calls out of anything that we've worked with. So, it's still essentially the same script that everyone kind of learns when they're becoming a real estate agent, learning more about how we could help you put your house back on the market, that kind of thing. But I think the way that we've trained it to be pretty conversational.
Very cool. Well, you guys did a great job.